what is AI actually capable of? And what is it exactly? Is it just machine learning? Is it a super intelligence? Is it the Antichrist? Let's talk about that as we watch your culture stray further every day. Howdy, my name is Jonathan Fiala, in the chair of the host, sitting with Rai, the producer guy, who is producing today with me here in the production cab, joined by a pretty full day today. We got Chauncey in the chair of theology. How's it going, bud?
Doing well.
Man, that's not convincing.
This whole machine doesn't fail us.
Yeah. Pretty well, I guess.
Sitting in the chair of theology, and then to his left we got Justin. How's it going?
Oh, it's going swell. Can't complain. I mean, I could complain, but that's not what the podcast is for.
Yeah, that's your therapist.
Oh.
But anyways, he's sitting in the chair of philosophy, and then to his left we got Mr. Steve. How's it going?
Man, I'm doing fantastic today, dude.
Was that
a good week? Everybody else was like kind of, I'm doing well. I'm doing okay. I just thought I'd, livened it up
I thought that was a seizure.
It looked like, I don't know, man.
Okay.
It might have been.
Yeah, this is what it looked like. All right.
I took my meds earlier, so,
Good. All right. So,
enough of them.
All right. So, we're off the rails already.
Might not have been.
So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump into it. First off, what is AI capable of? That's a really important question, and I want to kind of get a start into this day today with a video of all people, Bill Gates being interviewed, and it's an interesting clip. It's a little bit long, but hopefully we get a good start off, and I'm really looking forward to Justin's input on this one. But for now, let's go ahead and start.
We turn now tonight to the ABC News exclusive one-on-one with Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates on artificial intelligence, the new technology that's already here. It can solve complex problems, write essays, come up with recipes with a simple image of what's inside your refrigerator. It can even help doctors. Tonight, hear Bill Gates on why Americans should embrace it, but with caution. And when asked, is the U.S. government, are regulators ready? Not yet. Rebecca Jarvis with the interview tonight.
For you. Tonight, the ABC News exclusive, billionaire philanthropist and Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates on his optimism and his warning for Americans on the meteoric rise of artificial intelligence. Are you scared?
We're all scared that a bad guy could grab it. Let's say
like
the bad guys get ahead of the good guys. Then something like cyber attacks, could be driven by an AI.
The White House, the administration, regulators here in the U.S., do you think they're up to speed?
Not yet.
They're not ready.
Not yet. I mean,
why are they not ready?
You're never going to have every politician understanding it, but how do you build up a capacity to review things? They won't be the experts, but they have to be part of that discussion.
They never are.
Why not put a pause to it while we just figure out some of these very basic things?
If you just pause the good guys and you don't pause everyone else, you're probably hurting yourself. You definitely want the good guys to have strong AI.
Can you guarantee that?
If you stop the good guys, you can guarantee it won't happen.
Sounds like a
Gates urging caution, but not pausing. We are with him in Cameroon.
All right, so let's go ahead and switch back here. Thank you, Rai. So I want to get y'all's reaction to that and get some thoughts from y'all. Starting with Chauncey, and then we'll work our way around. We'll get to the chairs specifically, but first I want to get the raw reaction to Bill Gates' statements. And some of his arguments sounded very familiar to arguments that we've made on this show for other things.
Oh, yeah.
Chauncey.
Yeah, I'm just kind of stuck on the if we could stop the good guys argument. That's what I'm kind of stuck on. I'm like, what does he mean about that?
Well, so what he's worried about is government regulation. Mm-hmm. He's worried about government regulation stopping good research from being able to move forward. Now, of course, he fancies himself one of the good guys. Of course, you look at what he does in Kenya with people who are. But I'm going to pause on that because that's not the podcast today.
Is he scared the keyboard warriors is going to go out there and go crazy?
So what happened is there's currently talks in Congress about the idea of we should pause development on AI until we can figure out how to regulate it. So these companies, you shouldn't be developing AI anymore, and they want to put a pause on it on all these companies. And so Bill Gates is saying, well, yeah, if you do that, but then all you're doing is pausing the good guys from getting ahead of it, and the bad guys are going to be like, I ain't going to listen to your law, because that's what bad guys do. They don't listen.
That almost sounds like the argument for personal security when it comes to, Second Amendment firearm ownership. I mean, stellar argument by Bill Gates, by the way. I actually happen, for once, we agree, sir, that is a good argument.
Bad guys don't pay attention to laws. They don't care.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting, but make sure that you keep in mind who he is, though. I think that's always kind of concerning.
Talking about a guy that wants to reduce the population by how many millions?
Yeah,
I mean, he's considers himself a good guy, right?
So that's important. That's important to note there. But I also want to move forward. If you guys have kind of exhausted that one, I want to move forward to the next one, because there is some interesting stuff to be said here with the loss of jobs. And that's something that you and I, Justin, talked about offline. And I think there's something to be said here. Let's go ahead and roll that clip.
Past few years, artificial intelligence has made massive leaps in capability and ease of use. The rise of tools like ChatGPT and Midjourney have created a way for anyone to create essays, art, and other types of content without needing the individual skill and training normally associated with these tasks.
I think they signal the beginning of a road that will see many technological breakthroughs that will be based on AI technologies like machine learning.
This sort of generative technology that's currently out there uses data largely that's been scraped from the web. So my blogs, your blogs, anyone listening who's written stuff online since roughly 2004, their work is potentially swept up in this.
The legal and societal consequences of this rapid emergence of AI could shake the economy to its core.
For myself, as both an economist and an engineer, I'm absolutely shocked at the rate at which some of these generative content mechanisms are improving. There's also been a long-standing debate, what's the impact likely to be on the workforce?
These new AI tools are facing legal pressure from lawsuits, and legislators are also voicing their concern about what AI could mean for the economy. Leaders in the tech sector have even advocated for a so-called AI pause to slow down the emerging technologies that could potentially cause wide-scale disruption to multiple industries.
So, okay. Let's go ahead and talk about that for just a moment. There are several primary industries. ChatGPT, OpenAI in general has been doing a lot of interesting work, but there's several industries that are affected. Art, like music, physical, drawings, and we're going to get to illustrative art in just a moment, because there's a whole set of stories on that, including the stability diffusion lawsuit and DeviantArt lawsuit, and so there's that side. But then there's also a serious issue on the tech side, isn't there, Justin?
Oh, big time. I mean, so my day-to-day job is tech and troubleshooting and customer support. And there have been times where we've gotten, questions like, hey, my script isn't working. We think that you have an issue with your product. And we look and go, no, you did it wrong, right? But we have to prove it. We're not script experts, because we're experts in our product, not the custom scripts. So we've taken to go to ChatGPT sometimes and be like, hey, using this API for this product might write me a script that does this. And it does. And we've tested it, gone, cool, it works, and sent it to the customer, and it solves the case. Right? So there's something to be said of there are jobs out there that could very well be replaced by AI. When you first start to, look at, I have an issue and the thing pops up with chat with a live representative, that could just be an AI. And that could solve things. Now we need less tech support people. Those tech support people now have to go try to find other jobs. I mean, that would be a big hit for India.
Yeah.
because India takes a lot of our first level kind of, tech support things. That's why you always, when you call the toll free number, you get the Indian guy, who's like, hey, how can I help you? And you're like, I don't know, I can't understand you. India gets a lot of that first level stuff that could be done by AI. So there's a big worry of, is that stuff now, instead of outsourcing, are we going to give it to AI, and how many jobs are going to be lost because of that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that is a serious concern, but I want to drill down for just a moment and talk about what AI is. And we're using this term AI. It's almost a misnomer.
100%.
With what's actually happening. What is ChatGPT? What is Stable Diffusion, DALL-E, Midjourney? What are these softwares really?
Yeah, so honestly, they're data processing softwares. When you look at how AI works in the background, right, what it does is it takes all this data and it processes the data in a certain way. Okay, so it takes this data, makes it machine readable, processes it, and says, well, when somebody on the internet has asked this or talked about this, this is the responses that they've given. These were marked as great ones. These were marked as bad ones. So when somebody asks me for it, I should give a good response like this. And they've taken all of this data and processed it way better than our brains can, because we can't look at all of the data. Right? That's why we make podcasts, to get data and opinions and thoughts out there, hopefully in a, understandable way. But these AIs are going to always know more than us because they have access to all the data. But all they're doing is compiling the data and making assumptions and solutions based on the data.
It's a bunch of logic tree decisions. It's a if and yes sort of process where it says, okay, if this answer to this question was rated highly, or if it was during the machine learning phase, especially we're going to talk about that in the regards to generative art, right? Like music and illustrative art. If the response is a positive response from a human, that this was an acceptable answer for the AI, the machine learning is going to log that, and it logs millions, if billions of these decisions over and over and over again. And it's basically a very clever data storage retrieval system. And there's nothing new with AI. There are new connections that might be made between multiple data sets, where together those data sets can answer a question that apart maybe each one could not. That is possible, but it's still a clever data retrieval and organization structure.
Yeah. SAS Institute defines it as combining large amounts of data with fast iterative processing and intelligent algorithms, allowing the software to learn automatically from patterns or features in the data. So it's all about how it looks at the data, and when it gets new data, it goes, I should make this correction to the logic tree on this.
So it should actually be a DPS instead of AI, data processing server. Isn't that what you said? System.
Yeah, it's a very smart one, right?
because a super intelligence or an AI asserts the idea that at least the objective is that you have something that is able to create original thoughts. It's able to create an original idea that is not a conglomeration of human responses. It's able to compute and create something new. And on the note of creating something new, something that AI can't do, and we'll try to explain this in very, very short, but I want to go ahead and go to a video that was done by Corridor Digital. And we're not going to watch the whole video by any stretch because this is a long video, but we're going to watch the intro to it in just a moment. Let's see if I can get this pulled up here. I realize that I'm one behind here.
I'd say while you're pulling that up, another thing to know about AI is that all AI has what's called a natural language processing. So what that is it takes the language we speak and it translates it into something. My bad.
Keep going.
Man, interrupted by the computers.
My bad.
AI's coming to life.
Yeah, it doesn't like you.
Look out.
But it takes what we speak and the way we type it, and it translates it into computer understood language. So when it's even doing these calculations or giving you answers, it's not answering your question. It's answering what the algorithm took from your speech to say, okay, computer, now give me this.
Correct. It's a data fetch.
Yeah. So there's that translation in there. It is not speaking to you like a human. It is translating
language.
the computer. Yeah.
And that's going to become, that delineation is going to become very important in just a second. Let's go ahead and roll the first minute of this. You want to go look it up. As always, links in the description down below. These are some great videos.
Artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence, AI image generators.
Even the least talented of us can create artwork with just a few clicks.
Over the last few months, we've seen an incredible surge in AI content generated using AI programs as tools like DALL-E, Stable Diffusion, and Midjourney have become accessible to the general public. And as a result, legitimate concerns have been raised about whether or not these programs are, by their very nature, committing copyright infringement.
In these datasets, there exists billions of copyrighted images.
It's just like dumping all of recorded human history into a black box.
And now, there's finally been a lawsuit filed in the Federal District Court of Northern California. It attaches a few defendants, but most notably Stability AI, the creator of Stable Diffusion, and Midjourney, which also uses Stable Diffusion. The suit claims that Stable Diffusion is committing copyright infringement on a mind-bogglingly massive scale. I'm Jake Watson, a licensed and barred attorney in the state of California who spent the last 12 years making cutting-edge digital art with Corridor. In this video, I'll explain to you what this case is all about and why that's not even the real issue, divulging instead the legal secrets of what's truly at stake.
Okay, so that is the Corridor video. I want to get into what exactly does that mean? What exactly does all of that mean? Well, first off, go watch his video. There's a lot of really good stuff. It's a 60-minute long video. If I can truncate all of that down into 30 seconds, the way text to image AI, if you see AI artwork, if you saw some of those pictures there, some of them, for those of you on audio, go look up AI. It's really AI generative art. If you haven't looked it up already, it's very interesting. It's very uncanny sometimes. Sometimes it's beautiful. But what's going on? All of the images were scanned by, I think it's Ion 5 is a database set that Stability AI used. It's this 4 point something, whatever it is, billion images, or is it trillion? I don't know. It's this immeasurable amount of images that were all scanned, and machine learning, it looked at the image, it said, this is a man wearing a hat, walking a poodle, right? Or whatever. And then it logged that. After you get done logging all of those images, what they did was they imposed noise, digital noise onto that image. And they took all of the images that had similar descriptions and they put them into a dimensional coordinate system. You know, we have 3 dimensions, right? We have X, Y, and Z. Well, if you want to say man, poodle, and hat are 3 dimensions, right? Because there's a qualifier. There's a token for the individual. Then there are tokens and qualifiers that they add. You're looking at like a 500-something dimensional model. It's mind-boggling what that model is. But the way that the art works is when you type in man wearing a hat, walking a poodle, it's going to look at all of those images in that coordinate space, and based on a random pick, they call it a seed, you're pointing to a space in that 500 dimensional space is called the latent space. You're pointing to in a place in that coordinate system, and it's retrieving that image. And so the question is, and this could be a whole podcast on its own, is that ethical? Is it ethical? Because the latent space is derivative. You have millions of artists whose art has been unceremoniously taken to create this latent space. The final image, the question is that derivative? Is it something that you've taken from that artist, you've stolen it from that artist, or is it something that's entirely new based on the process? And that's what that lawsuit is occurring. But make no mistake, the AI didn't make something. You pointed to an image coordinate in a very complex computer database. That's all you did when you text to image in Midjourney or Stability. I know you got thoughts.
It's important to note that when it draws that picture, it is not drawing a new picture, right? It is not grabbing its pen and imaginary computer paper and drawing you a new picture. It's taking pieces of other pictures and combining them, right? That's why when you ask it to draw a specific person, sometimes the face don't come out right, because it's taking pictures of the person's face from different perspectives, from different images, and putting it together, and it looks almost right. So it's actually grabbing these pieces of art, and that's the main concern, is it's grabbing the art. It's not just using it as inspiration, right? Humans can be inspired.
No inspiration at all.
Yeah, humans can be inspired by art and go, I like that style, I'm going to draw in that style. AI can't. So this, again, I want to debunk the idea in your mind, dear viewer. If you think that AI, machine learning as it currently stands, is somehow a sentient being, it is not sentient in any way. It is a very, very clever sleight of hand. That's not even supposed to be a sleight of hand. It's a data retrieval system and construction. It's able to normalize data. For those of us who are in the data world, it's like normalization of data is a magical thing, but it is not human. And don't believe me, break the Excel sheet.
Guys, what's interesting for you two here, when I saw that one video you were showing, and it had the 2 rows of the computers set up, I was seeing that and I was like, man, I remember when I was in college, they had that exact same kind of setup, but it was set up like that with that amount of computers just to read cards that you punch cards just to read the cards or to write code for you when you did punch cards so you could write computer code. And I was like, now they have it and it like unbelievable amounts of data. And I'm like, oh my gosh, the advancement nowadays for computers, and they had that much just to read the cards that we punched out. Just to read them.
And so that actually lends well to something I was going to talk about after we got done talking about kidnapping and ransom issues and fake news that's online because of AI. But you look at Moore's Law. You're familiar with Moore's Law?
I'm familiar with Cole's Law. That's shredded cabbage with mayonnaise and
oh my goodness.
You missed it right. Okay, that's okay. Cole's Law. Okay. Funny. Like Moore's Law is basically the premise that every 2 years semiconductor technology is going to increase the capacity. It's going to double the capacity, our capacity, man's capacity of computational power, but also the Buckminster curve. And again, all this in the description below, you want to go look it up, was a 1982, I believe, hypothesis by a gentleman. He was a professor named Prof. Buckminster. He said, 1982, we're going to see in 2020, and it hasn't quite hit that. He says by 2020, the knowledge doubling will have gone from 1945, doubling every 25 years, or 25, or anyway, doubling every 25 years to doubling every 12 hours. We're not
exponential growth.
We're not necessarily there, but then again, we might be, because there's a lot of knowledge that's unnecessary. I really don't need to know what Charlie DeMello is doing with her butt right now. And so there's a lot of information that's junk information.
I thought you were going to
how many different ways to cut your grass. I mean, who cares?
First off, I do care about how many ways to cut my grass.
Well,
I have mushrooms right now, and I need to know how to get rid of them.
Mushrooms?
Yeah, just in the backyard overnight. Okay, anyways, distractions.
Hey, dude,
I do want to.
I don't want to know what kind. I don't want to know what kind.
I do want to loop
got
back
away from them years ago.
I do.
Years.
I have so many questions for different podcasts. I do want to loop back though, because you talked about all of that data, and one thing that we're looking at is pulling pieces of copyrighted data and then the pause on advancement. Right? You talked about how it took that much just to do punch cards, and now we're using that much to do multiple AIs and the amount of data.
Right.
Where's the politics, the governance on advancement, right? Because AI is an advancement. Why is it that the government and these leaders can all of a sudden be like, well, we should pause that advancement? Where's the politics on that side of...
Where's the Christian's answer to that?
Yeah. Can we pause advancement in society?
Oh, politics, these guys are like nowhere in wanting to pause it, because their idea is, well, we need this for, say, like military use.
Yep. They want to pause the civilian usage so that they can do military spending.
That we need it for military use because this country's advancement in AI, they're going to use it, say, like China, for instance, or Russia. Their big concerns are in China. Russia, yeah, but China mostly, because they have, a lot of semiconductor use in building and factories.
Yeah.
Big time. You know that as well as I do. Okay. And a lot of our semiconductors come from over there, majority of them. So, that's their big worry. So they're going to be working on AI ourselves. So they're not politics. Oh, heck no. And plus, they're going to use them, especially, say, like, what was the guy that used it for thinking that, this one island's going to tip over.
Oh, yeah.
One thing, and these
that one
guys,
senator thought the senator thought that Guam was going to tip over.
Yeah.
So we could have replaced him with an AI and we'd be better off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but he's not wrong. He's not wrong that China is a serious concern on this. But the thing is, and Gates actually did say this correctly. Now, I'm sure Gates has other reasons why he wants to be on the forefront of this. He's like, don't regulate it, get off my back. I want to be able to be on the forefront of this. I mean, obviously he does. Microsoft's Azure system was very critical to ChatGPT's and OpenAI's development. And of course he wants to keep that open. Some people want stuff to be regulated because they can now be involved in the discussion on how it's regulated. Bill Gates is not necessarily in that position right now, so he does not want it to be regulated. And you're right, the China cyber warfare attacks are going to be a serious problem. But the thing is the private sector usually does a better job. If you given the same amount of money, the private sector does a significantly better job than the government. But
I always do.
I want to turn to another story here that is a little bit more personal. So we've talked about some of the cool things that AI can do, but I also want to turn to a little bit more of a concerning issue, and that would be, what can AI spoof? What can AI spoof? Let's go ahead and watch that real quick.
Family is sharing their terrifying experience after being targeted by scammers. We've all heard about those phone calls claiming a loved one has been kidnapped and you need to hand over cash for them to be released.
Don't think you'd fall for it? Well, what if the person on the other end of that call has your loved one's voice? Lauren Tallarico explains how this high-tech scam works.
It truly is the stuff of movies. It's called voice cloning technology, and it is fantastic stuff. It can be used for a whole lot of good, but in the wrong hands, can be used for a lot of bad, too.
It's a scam that goes beyond the hardware.
It was terrifying.
And aims right for the heart.
When he was telling me that I would never see my daughter again and everything, it was terrible.
This past Saturday, John Bridges was having dinner at his Pearland home when his phone rang.
I answer it, and it's someone crying.
The voice of his daughter, Brittany.
I've had an accident, Dad, help me. Then a man comes on. He goes, I've got your daughter. She's in my car. But if you don't listen to what I'm saying, and if you draw attention to yourself, you may not ever see your daughter again.
The caller told John to stay on the phone, get cash, then drive to a grocery store.
My mouth is dry and I'm, just heart's beating 100 miles an hour.
Once there, he was ordered to wire the money to Mexico. Luckily, before he could do it, Brittany had called her mom.
I couldn't believe it. I was just like, I'm okay. Like, I'm fine.
The FTC has raised the alarm about voice cloning technology and how it could be used for bad in the future.
So they go on to say that they went ahead and actually did a test. By the way, I actually had a test too. I had a cold open we were going to do today, and the voice for Trump was pretty good. I was going to have Trump open the show for us as a cold open. The face needed a lot of work. Nightmare fuel does not begin to describe.
Is that because of the AI or just in general?
It was rough. It was rough. It was amalgamation of my face and Trump's, but it was the worst parts of both, and it was not enough to be a likeness of Trump. And so it's just like, holy crap! I could not find a single picture that would work with. This is what happens when you do the free AI, because you don't want to spend $50 for a gag. But
where's your commitment?
Where's my commitment? I got to commit. But with that said, that is a serious question, though, isn't it? Should the government be involved in regulating this? Because of that, my immediate response, just to set the tone, my immediate response is as well, how these people are committing K&R. Do you really think you're going to be able to stop people who are committing K&R from being able to not access a website on someone else's server or on the dark web? It's not that hard to get on the dark web, by the way. I mean, it's almost a misnomer. It's very simple. So, but just going around the room, any thoughts, throwing it out there to y'all?
My only issue with the government regulating is like, how far is that regulation going to go into?
When does it stop?
Yeah, when is it going to stop? Because there's like an endless amount of loops as to what they can do as far as like people serving the web, certain websites that they're attending to, and then there's certain social media apps that they're also attending to, because you got scammers and hackers everywhere. So where is that going to end, and how far would that take that to? That's my main concern.
Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a spot where I don't know. There's part of me that's like, yeah, we should regulate these. We should have, forceful watermarks on things. If you're going to have a AI voice, there should be some underlying vocal watermark that all companies have to throw in there, so that you can tell and you can easily spot and be like, boom, there we go. But at the same time, where's that line of watermark versus now owning it versus I get to affect what you do with it?
And so I want to counter that. Here's the counter for it. Doesn't watermarking AI so that everyone can have a AI, say you have an AI detector and you have some latent noise in the bottom of the file, so that sets off the alarm that this is AI, and that you're being called by an AI, someone with AI on the line. Your phone like rings and says AI detected, right? That would be the ideal in the head. But what's to say that creating that isn't going to create a false sense of security for the people who are using it surreptitiously when they find a way around placing that watermark, or they find a way to scrub that watermark from the data?
I mean, we have that now.
What I'm saying?
Yeah, but we have that issue now with scam likely on your phone. Mm-hmm. Right? Now you see scam likely and you're like, I'm not answering that. Throw my phone away. Right? Or put it in my pocket. Don't throw it away. But, my phone has been actually unfairly tagged as scam by one person's phone. I have no idea why that person's phone, by the way, both of my numbers, I have a work number, I have a personal number. This one person's phone, both of them got tagged. Because he kept trying to sell me Amway.
Shh, don't tell them that.
No, but so now when we get a call and we see a number, there's some people that are like, Psh, I don't know the number, I'm not answering it. And then there are people like me where I'm like, oh, it's a number not scan likely, I'll answer. Hey, this is Justin, thank you for calling. It's like, you have just won a free cruise to Cambodia. I'm like, what? Yeah. So it draws us in. Now, luckily, I'm not, I'm in the IT world, I know what a scam is. But who's to say, my grandma doesn't know, or so we're already at that false sense of, just with scams.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Where that becomes a problem is that that's not happening at the person's phone number. That's happening downstream of it. Imagine for a moment that you got rid of, so that's where where we're talking two different analogies here. Let's try to line them up, because this is an interesting conversation. What you're talking about is post phone number given, someone's phone number is used poorly, and then it gets tagged as a scam, right? There's suspicious activity and that phone is marked for scam, or it's not recognized by a provider, right? There's a couple of ways that phone numbers get marked as scam calls. They can be registered as that by enough people signing up, and I believe that there are some databases that get set up if it's not from Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, or Huawei, whatever. You get the idea. What we're talking about is the creation of the number itself, the creation of the actual call. It's not quite the same analogy, because if you have someone, let's say, for example, that you had a system where every phone number that was allowed onto the airwaves was vetted and verified. That would be very much like your latent signature for AI on a call or on a recording. If someone figured out how to get onto that encrypted system and they got their number in, you're now giving people that false sense of security that you have secured that whole system. And it doesn't necessarily work. It's just the same way if someone's able to scrub that latent watermark off. You understand what I'm saying? Because a governmental fixture will not necessarily fix it. It'll only give you false security.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my thought.
Chair politics.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on regulation?
Culture.
My thoughts on regulation, I'm not real big on regulation, personally. I think with...
You're more of a prosecution guy.
Well, when it comes to political regulation, the thing with that is they always have a tendency, and it shows, especially over the past couple of years, they show a tendency to want to persecute a lot of people who, let's say, kind of like the way our pastor's message was today, who follow the normal path, if you want to call it that. And you get persecuted for that, or say like, normal ideas. You want to be a Christian, ideas. You get persecuted for it. Let's say this podcast.
Sure.
Big instance. You look at what they do to us. John Arthur and I, we pay attention to our views. We pay attention to what gets all of the comments that get scrubbed, our views that get scrubbed. We've even seen subscribers that get scrubbed.
Yeah, it does happen.
I mean, we have seen it time after time after time on our podcast.
It's rigged.
Maybe
with you two.
Speaking of rigged, let's do a fun story here. Let's do a fun story here on Trump.
So I'm not real big on that kind of thing.
Speaking of rigged, let's do one on Trump. And this is the latest wildness with AI and fake
story
news.
this hour. Now, social media has been flooded with artificial intelligence generated deepfake photos of Donald Trump. The pictures show the former U.S. president resisting arrest and trying to run from the police.
This is during the New York hearings.
The grand jury is mulling whether to indict Trump in connection to hush money paid to porn star Stormy Daniels in 2016.
For those on audio,
Elliot
some of them are
Higgins,
convincing.
The founder of the
Some
investigative group Bellingcat posted the deep fakes. Higgins said that they were created with the artificial intelligence text-to-image generator Midjourney.
The spray isn't even right
fell
on that
for the
pepper spray.
pictures at first glance. However, a closer look shows the text on the police officers' uniforms does not make sense, along with the distorted faces and hands.
That's like scream Melania right there.
Stormy Daniels.
It doesn't
think about it.
It doesn't look too
You know
good.
Donald Trump's not going to run.
No,
come on.
just end the sentence there. You know he's not going to run.
Really?
Oh my
Look at Donald Trump. He doesn't run. Come on.
And then dressed up as a police officer too.
Yeah. Oh my
Really?
gosh.
I mean,
but that does lead, interestingly enough, to the question of is there a way that we can figure out, instead of a government regulation, is there a way that we can figure out how to detect this early? Right now, we kind of can. Right now, because if you actually look at
It's
text
just
to image,
not right.
No, it's just not there. It's just not there. So you want to make sure that you are able to sort of use a little bit of discernment when you're looking at some of these images on the internet.
Cough, common sense, cough.
Correct. So, what do a lot of the experts say? Well, let's go ahead and let's actually go to that in just a moment here. I'm actually going to pull this up, but there's a great article in the comment. It's in the description below, but we have some quotes from some people who are indeed in the AI sphere. Go ahead, Mr. Producer, pull that up, please. And how dangerous is AI? This is from Glenn Beck's site, but this is from Tristan Harris, co-founder of Center for Humane Technology. What's surprising and what nobody foresaw is that just by learning to predict the next piece of text on the internet, these models are developing new capabilities that no one expected. So just by learning to predict the next character on the internet, it's learned how to play chess. No one is building guardrails for AI, and this has moved so much faster than our government has been able to appreciate. Any thoughts on that from you guys?
Well, it goes back to a infamous quote from Albert Einstein himself. And I had this in mind whenever the subject was pulled up, and he says that I fear today that technology will surpass our human interaction. The world will have a generation of idiots. And so what he just said there was absolutely going to his point there. It's like the government has been very, very behind when it comes to like technology and everything, especially dealing with it the way it should.
And so I think that's really important is that we're going to be behind. One of the things that I think they're more worried about, I don't think AI is going to cause, and I'm posing this to you, Chair Philosophy. I don't think AI is going to create a HAL, right? We're not going to have a Terminator event. What we could have is a situation where a rogue, Iran, China, whoever has enough money and the right people to create a machine learning program that is very adept at cyber warfare.
Ooh.
Your thoughts?
I got thoughts. So we're not going to have a HAL. We're not going to have a Terminator. We're not going to have a machine learning that acts human and feels human, right? Because you can't teach human emotions. You just can't. I don't care who you think you are. You can teach someone to fake it, right? But you can't.
Lambda. And this dumb Google engineer, sorry.
Come on, man.
You can't teach the human emotions and a soul and creativity, right? All you can teach is to read things, process data faster to give you a more realistic answer. Right. So we're not going to have AI that goes against our wills or refuses to open the door because you talked about my motherboard wrong. You know, it's not going to happen.
It's normal sized, you know.
Yeah. My CD-ROM drive is fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But, you know, we are going to have, you know, cyber crimes. The amount of DDoSing that's going to happen. Woo, if you don't know what DDoSing is, it's a very typical standard cyber attack where you overload the router with so many requests that it can't do anything, and it just basically sits there like a kid being asked to do quantum physics. Right? It is exactly what these routers do, and then you can't get to the internet anymore.
Get to Joe Biden and fat. But anyway.
Yep.
And so it's a very typical, very easy thing to do that even just script kiddies can do.
Bidden, and I think I pronounced it right.
Well, we didn't hear you because you weren't close enough.
I think that's the whole idea. That's bidden.
I think we.
Oh my gosh!
Broke. Are you sure you got rid of those mushrooms?
What? I'm not sure.
Come on, man.
All right.
I'm gonna pray for you.
Please do.
But you know, so that's the big worry is, you know, this getting in the hands of, as Bill Gates said. I wanted to call him George Bush for some reason. It's like, but as Bill Gates had said, you know,
his name is John.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
The bad guys getting this is the worry, and the way the bad guys can use it is the worry. It's not a worry of the advancement or that it's going to attack us, but it's the how people are going to use it to attack us.
Correct. 100%. And that's something that I think is an actual legitimate concern by comparison to the nonsense that we're hearing from the media. But moving over to the chair of culture / politics, because you've kind of been in both. Alex Jones over here. What do you? What? I just can't get past it. I just can't get past that aluminum hat. If you have a system like, and I'm just asking you, Steve Johnson, and not so much the culture or political chair, answer how you will. Mm-hmm. If you have a system of people who are no longer dependent upon their own reason and faculties, does that make them easier to rule? And how so?
On their own
faculties, if they're reliant on ChatGPT.
If they're relying on that, you know, and then you, let's say they're relying on that the whole time. Okay. And then all of a sudden they don't have access to it. Idiocy. They don't know what to do anymore. But if that's all they can rely on, then they go in and they get an answer and they go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to say. It's like being on the news and you read what they post and that's all you know. And you just read what's there. I'm the person and that's what I tell you what's there, because this is what the computer tells you what to say, and that's all I know. It can be biased, and generally, what's the percentage of the time that it's going to be biased?
It's
a ChatGPT? Come on. We did that the first time we had a podcast on it, and how biased was it?
Well, it's only as biased as the people who programmed it, right, and the data set that was programmed into it. And so that's where Orwell comes in. That's where the beast and the mark of the beast comes in. Not exactly the way some people saying AI is the beast. Sorry, no.
Right.
Nowhere correct.
No.
Right.
No.
Nowhere near.
But it's not the beast. But it could lend well to the system that the beast will use. So right. I want to go in the chair of theology in just a moment to Revelations 13:7. I want you to go ahead and have that ready, if you would, Chauncey, because it's very important to note what does the Bible say about the beast, and what does it say about the mark of the beast? Chauncey.
Well, it says here in Revelation 13:7, if anyone's following along, it says, it was granted to him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And authority was given him over every tribe, tongue, and nation. 8th verse, all who dwell on the earth will worship him, whose names have not been written in the book of life of the Lamb, slain from the foundation of the world.
So that is not AI. That is not a person it's not a group of decision-making processes in a computer in a server set. That is a person who is the leader of a global system. And you look at the beast in Daniel and in Revelation. If you read Revelation 13 front to back, and you read Daniel and you read Zechariah 14, you're going to see that there's a political system and there's a leader, and some people conflate the two. If Donald Trump, as president, had gone to China and said, I want you to, abide by these sanctions, someone could just as easily say, the U.S. went to China and said, abide by these sanctions, because this person is acting on behalf of that legal and, political system. The beast is the leader of that world system. And he's going to have a mark. It's said in there that they're going to have to have the mark to buy or to sell. So could AI be that? Well, I don't necessarily think so. Let's go ahead and look at 13:11 through 16. If you could get the whole verse.
Gotcha. It says, then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb and spoke like a dragon. And he exercises all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and causes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. He performs great signs, so that he even makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth by those signs which he was granted to do in the sight of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who was wounded by the sword and lived. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, which is 666. So.
666.
666. That's correct, because it's actually it's a Roman numeral. That means it's not actually 666. It's a Roman numeral. And some people actually think, because that Roman numeral looks very much like the flag that would have flown over the Syrian the corps that the Romans would have had that would have sacked Jerusalem. They say that that's actually that sign. That's an interesting debate, not getting into it here. Yeah, does the mark of the beast happen before the 7 years? The answer is no. It happens when, Justin?
At some point.
3.5 years.
3.5 years.
3.5 years. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blindside you there.
That's exactly what I was going to say when I didn't know the answer.
Exactly. Okay, so that's okay.
I'm not the chair of theology.
No,
and by the way, this beast system does not come with a watermark, so that's not the mark that it's talking about. So anybody wants to make that watermark argument, debunked.
Yeah. And if you think that somehow using AI accidentally is the mark of the beast, if you somehow think that the COVID vaccine was the mark of the beast, if you somehow think using a credit card or a barcode, and I've heard these arguments, is somehow the mark of the beast, guys, when is the mark of the beast going to be used? Read those verses and you're going to see it is used to glorify the one who died and rose again in a fake Jesus Christ. You're going to have a fake, see a Father, God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. You have Satan, the devil. You have the beast, the devil. And then you have the false prophet, the devil. And those are the fake members of the fake trilogy. Satan is going to set out to create a fake trilogy. It doesn't align exactly. I see you crumpling your you're biting your lips.
You keep saying trilogy instead of
Trinity. No, thank you. Correct me. Stop me, because I'm making myself sound like an idiot.
I got into him.
It's the AI. Possessed by the AI. It's the fake Trinity.
See here. You wonder why I wear this, man. Okay.
The only
safe one. Man, I tell you what. Okay.
There you go.
Take notes from Steve.
Thank you for correcting me. I am very tired. I worked late last night. So the Trinity, the fake Trinity, you're going to have the fake Trinity of Satan, the beast, and the false prophet. And what's going to happen is you're going to take that mark to glorify, to edify the beast. One of the worst things, we said this in our group chat, when we were talking about the show, one of the worst sins that Christians have ever committed, I believe, is blasphemy in this sense. They have attacked other Christians as having taken the mark of the beast accidentally. Okay, that is not an accident. It is an oath of allegiance. It is going to be burned on your hand or burned on your head or something that you wear or something that you inject. But when you do it, you are doing it in direct defiance to God.
It's done on purpose.
Yeah, I will say it will be coerced into it. It'll be something forced upon us, but you're gonna still know what you're doing.
Correct.
Right? It's not gonna be one where you accidentally get it and you go, oh, but I was told this was for God. No, you're gonna know it's not for God, but you're also gonna be told you don't have a choice. You need this if you want to buy food.
Yeah.
But also the evidence of that is that there's going to be an angel in the sky that's going to tell us, don't take it. Don't take it. So
read Revelation. You're going to see that there's an angel that crisscrosses the sky saying, God is holy, repent, turn back. And that's one of those things. People look at Revelation as this horrible thing of God doing evil to the world in this punitive damage. Read the whole book and read it carefully. And what you'll see is that you have God saying, this earth that I created has an endpoint. There will be a day I shine my glory on all creation, on all things. You can't handle that. You cannot handle that. You don't believe me? Look at Moses. Look at Elijah. Look at Ezekiel. All these men who thought they saw God, or they saw God just part of, and it radically transformed them. It changed them. They all fell to their knees when they thought they had seen the face of God. You cannot stand in the face of God. So what's God doing? He's ending this world, and there's going to be a binary choice. And God's saying, time's up. Make your choice. God is holy. Come back to me. And that's what God is saying in Revelation. God is not going to allow you to get the COVID vaccine and then you get up to heaven and God goes, I'm sorry, you didn't read my puzzle well, and he pulls this little trap door and you fall screaming into hell.
Sorry, we don't allow MNRA into heaven.
I'm sorry. That is the most asinine thing I have heard fellow Christians say. And look, if you said that, I love you. But please be careful what you say and start to think about what you're saying, because it's just wrong.
Well, and we come back to what you had said about, the idea of Trump had gone to China and said, I want you to follow this. Trump represents the United States. As a Christian, if you're saying these things, you are representing Christ. And so if you're going to go at someone and say you've got the mark of the beast, you best know what the mark of the beast is. If you're going to call someone out, you best know what you're calling them out on. The people who say AI is the Antichrist, I go, boy, you ain't not read about the Antichrist.
It's like if you read the Bible, they would have disavowed you of that delusion. I mean, just read it.
Exactly.
AI might be a tool that's used, But guess what? Fire is a tool that's going to be used by the Antichrist. Guns are a tool that will be used by the Antichrist.
Yeah.
So we make barbecues. We part of the Antichrist system.
No, I smoke. What?
No, I'm just saying, like, we use fire to cook stuff, so we part of that system then.
Yeah, there you go.
Based on their argument.
Everyone sitting at home at their Sunday barbecue going, oh no, what did I do?
Oh my God.
But you see how silly these arguments sound?
Some are just absurd.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. So just to go ahead and wrap up the day, we've used that one too many times. It's like the husky that has the little buttons to press and start to use the soundboard, and all of a sudden everyone wants to push the button.
Yeah, and everybody thinks he's talking.
Yeah.
Okay. It's pattern recognition. The dog is AI.
The dog.
Does he have the watermark?
Yeah, actually.
Right.
Like there's a.
Does what?
Does he have the watermark though?
Oh my gosh.
The dog is the Antichrist.
The dog is the Antichrist. Okay. If you're taking nothing away from this podcast, take away that the dog is the Antichrist. Wrapping up around the room. Actually, that's cats. Sorry. I'm kidding. I love cats. Starting with Chauncey, wrapping up for the day. Final thoughts on why AI is not the Antichrist, why it's a tool, and how should we go about seeing that tool?
It's not the Antichrist because you need to read this.
Amen.
And this will expose every single thing, the beast system in Daniel, and then it goes furthermore into Revelation.
Amen.
Read your Bibles. That's why the Bible tells us to study to show thyself approved, that we are not a workman.
Amen,
It was a shame
Chauncey.
when rightly dividing the word of truth. So don't be going out here falsely dividing the word of truth. Do it the correct way.
Amen, Chauncey.
Amen. Justin.
Look at what AI is. AI is not a human. You look at things and you go, well, what makes a human? I mean, there are philosophers years trying to decide what makes a human. Where's the soul? Where's that? But everybody agrees AI is not human. It can't be an Antichrist. Do not treat AI as a person, as a thing, as an entity. Treat it as a tool that we're still figuring out how to use, that can be used for evil and can be used for good, and help use it for good. Help fight for regulations that use it for good, and to keep away regulations that can use it for bad and take it away from the good guys.
Unless it's a transformer.
Steve. Keep it going here, Steve.
I'm going to keep.
Chauncey just on curveballs.
I'm going to combine the cultural and politics together in one thing. Listening to our pastor's sermon today, if you pay attention to what's going on in the world today, and you read Revelation, you can see the things that are going on, the division that's going on in the world, politically, culturally, people's ideas and what they think, whether you're, let's say, believe in how you want to get married, racially, all kinds of different ways, division. People, and you're going to see that it says it right here, the division on what's going to happen. It talks about it right here, the division in the world. All you got to do is read right here on what's going to happen. Things are coming true, whether it's politically or culturally. It's coming true, people. And if you watch the news, you see it every single day, man. Every single day. And people need to figure out whether they want to be on which side. They want to go to Christ, which is where you need to go.
Preach it.
And Christ, what he wants you to be a part of him. Mm-hmm. He's reaching out to you. He loves you. He wants to be there with you. And that's one thing that the church has fallen on, has not done enough reaching out in this country to people and shown a lot of the love that they need to do in a lot of the areas in this country. And all you got to do is go to some of these cities, and it is horrible, the division that is being created. Too much of it, man. It's sad.
Indeed. That's your best clothes yet. I wish you weren't wearing the hat. That'd be so much easier to short.
Man, sorry about that, but
absolutely.
We can use AI to edit it out.
Right here.
You could use AI to edit it out.
Right there. Been there, done it, walked the path of Christ, man.
Yeah.
Walked exactly the path that he walked.
Mm-hmm.
Got this hat in this city.
That's why he wears it all the time. And it's a good thing. With that said, wrapping up, just in the note of the chair of economics / the host chair. AI, guys, is not the Antichrist. And more importantly, if we spent as much time focused on evangelism and discipleship, and discipleship is so much more important than evangelism. And I sorry, guess what? If you discipled more instead of just winning people, if Billy Graham had touched 1/10 of the people, 1,000th of the people that came within his revival tent, the way that Christ had touched his disciples, this would be a different world. If you touch 10 people the way Christ had touched his disciples, I'm not ragging on Billy Graham. I'm not. I think we need evangelists. But one of the things that we're missing in our churches, in our homes, in our schools, we are missing disciplers. Because people are going into the world. They do not know why they believe what they believe. And then we have bad theology that gets out. A comical version of this is AI, the Antichrist. That's kind of comedic. But there are other things that are much more important. And with your time, chair of economics, make sure that you're investing your time in not the things of this world, but the things of the next.
Correct.
Start to focus. And because eschatology, the study of Revelation, it's not to put a date on the calendar. It's to give us urgency when we see that the time is near. The time looks like it's nearer than it ever has been. Will it happen in my lifetime? God only knows. Does that mean that I should slow down or speed up? It means that I should speed up. Should go as fast as possible. I should do as much as possible for the kingdom. Make sure that this week you're sharing the gospel with someone using words only when necessary.
Amen.
If you like this podcast, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, let us know. By the way, thank you for over 190,000 downloads. This is the 100th episode. So thank you. Thank you.
And you know something, on this 100th episode, I think you need to show Ryan's face.
Ryan, are you willing to be unmasked here? No, not yet. Are you?
Maybe on the 101st.
It happened on the Christian music episode.
It did happen. He was on the Christian music episode. So you can go back to look at that. What's wrong with the contemporary Christian music and the church?
Oh, okay.
We made his face the thumbnail.
We can make no. So, with that said, thank you for your downloads. Rumble, thank you. We have 70-something people on Rumble. Thank you.
Ooh, all right.
Make sure that you guys keep it coming. And as far as YouTube's concerned,
please keep us up.
God love you.
Share that on YouTube.
Yeah, make sure that you're sharing. Sharing is the new caring. It helps the algorithm. But of course, the algorithm, I don't think this is a human at this point. I think there's something that is actively just demoting based on text to speech analysis.
Yep.
We say the words. We don't use code words here. Maybe that's our problem. I don't know. But then again, I think that censoring that way kind of makes it hard for the podcast listeners to listen to audio. It makes it worse.
We should just end every podcast with saying the algorithm triggered words like synergy and
synergy and energy.
And
environmentalism is cool.
Tolerance. Inclusiveness. See, now we're at the top.
This is AEO, algorithmic engine optimization. Okay, with that, that wasn't the joke. That was just terrible. Out of the way. Thank you so much for listening. We love you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. One last thing for you. If you did listen all the way through, you are indeed asleep. Or you actually enjoyed it. Hopefully it's the latter. Yes. With that said, if we are just now waking you up, want to ask you a question, put it in the comment section down below, YouTube, Rumble, wherever it is. What is which AI program is the most interesting to you? Which one that came out and you said, wow, it can actually do that? It's kind of interesting, starting with Chauncey.
Actually, I believe because I'm an engineer myself, going into nuclear engineering, but one of the things that I was just like very fascinated with is like, and this was me growing up as a kid, was Photoshop. The factor that, you know, you can edit out things and make things like picture perfect. I thought that program was going to be dangerous within itself because then there's catfish.
Yeah.
There's all of that. So it's just very interesting. But this new AI, man, it just makes Photoshop look like a baby. Like,
I want to set up a Tinder profile for
Justin.
AI.
Oh my gosh! Please don't.
just see what happens.
My gosh.
So
Please, no!
Go ahead.
I really liked ChatGPT. Like I said, we've used it at work a few times. We won't admit to using it, right? Because you don't tell your customers, hey, AI did this for me. But ChatGPT is because it's usable, but my company actually, and I'm not going to name names, has been announcing things like, hey, we're using AI in our products. Here's this, and we've launched this, and we're doing some really cool things with it that are making our product way better. And it's really cool, and I love it. But ChatGPT allowed me to kind of get a taste of some of that beforehand. So I use ChatGPT all the time just for fun. Sometimes when I'm leaving for the day, I'm like, hey, write me a short Slack message to tell my team I'm leaving for today in a funny way. And then I'll just copy and paste, and people give me praise. I'm like, yes.
Oh, my God. Well, you know, I really don't use one, really, to tell you the truth. But I've got a lot of video of some hunts that I've done in the past that I've been thinking about putting on disc and stuff, and considering putting them out because of it's a lot of dog hunting for wild boar that I've got that I filmed myself. And I've been considering doing some stuff with all of that and seeing which one I can use to put it and get it out there, because there's a lot of people that I know that would like to see some of this stuff.
I've got the AI video editor for you. Talk to me afterward. There's actually, I've been playing with a couple to try to strip out shorts, but it can also do what you would want to be able to do to create a highlight reel. The video editor is pretty cool, but I gotta say, AI art is one of the coolest things that has come out. The problem with some of them, DALL-E is actually ethically sourced. Everything is open, supposedly. I mean, someone's going to fact check me in 2 years and say, actually, they took out of this data set. Actually, but the idea that you could do a type to text in the style of someone else, and then actually Corridor Digital and a bunch of other people. I was looking at a few people's different videos on this where they are able to take. It's like a video filter where you denoise you noise up the image from a frame of video, and then you renoise it through the AI, but you do it through the filter of different art styles. And it's like creating anime or American comic book art or illustrative artwork. It's really cool.
Is that the thing that you were showing?
Yeah. That's what I was showing.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So that is the coolest thing that I've seen AI do. If you found something fun that you like, or just you want to ditto someone in here, tell us in the comment section down below. With that said, we love you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.